Literature. We have all engaged in some form of text throughout our lives, whether it be from the picture book your parents read to you, a godforsaken DBQ question, or bloodstains on the wall that scream for help. You've read something. Obviously, if you read the right thing, it sticks in your mind and influences you. If you're interested in wanting to throw words out there, then you've come to the right place. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gents, and everyone beyond that. My name is Mia Pierce, and I'm going to show you how to get published with a couple of wonderful sources of source. I did my research, is what I'm trying to say. This will be fast-paced and is designed with comedy in mind, as if I were to watch a video on this topic, it would probably be a bit boring and drive me to sleep. So, stay on your toes, overdose on caffeine, and let us get started. Obviously, there are many ways to get published. You can use an agent, go solo, get your book slapped on Amazon, etc., etc. For brevity's sake, and making sure to cover as many topics as possible, I will try to go over the best methods so you, the viewer, can see which one is the best for you. So, let's say you're already ready, or at least ready to get an agent or reach out to some place to get your novel up and out into the world. Get some sample chapters, and get your proposition letter ready, because we're going to help you get published. Right, so regardless of what you'd like to do to get yourself published, you have to make sure that before you make your pitch, that your work is solid. A quick tip to improve the quality of your story to make it more into a revolutionary bestseller is to make sure that you're properly inspired, of course. Quote, "The best writers are readers." Moazi 5, end quote. This quote is mentioned because digesting media is important for all sorts of artists and great for inspiration. One can look at a snazzy design off of an animated TV show or a plot point written in a novel and use it to create a new idea of their own. Of course, it would be rather scandalous if you straight up ripped them off. After all, inspiration is different from theft. Right. The obvious advice before you even begin publishing: be good. Make sure your idea is good and that you're well prepared. That obviously speeds things up for you now, doesn't it? Now, let's go over two major categories within the realm of publishing: getting a handy-dandy agent, or you do it all on your own. Now, for those unfamiliar with the process of publishing via agent, they are an important asset to you within the publishing realm, as they will act as your knight in shining armor throughout the entire process. According to Mr. Harry Bingham from Jericho Writers, who will be providing information for mostly traditional publication here, agents will help thin out the competition, considering that major publishing companies pay the most attention to manuscripts and sample works that are advertised by literary agents. Not only that, they also advise you through the entire process to ensure you get the best deal. After all, they too profit from it. Their wonderful little services also include having your bad boy published in other languages, proofreading, and offering suggestions to your little masterpiece to ensure saleability, and lovingly fighting off any legal complications so that you and your little baby have smooth sailing. You don't even have to pay them! They get paid for the sales that you should make. And then the publisher takes it one step further and grants you money to buy your wonderful little masterpiece. They even go through the liberty of formatting it into the standard physical and e-copies, giving it some pizzazz with some cover art, and slapping that bad boy into a store for millions of eyes to gawk at. They also handle marketing techniques and can help you get settled with book signings and whatnot. Now, you probably sound excited, and I'm going to let you little sneakers run loose with some wonderful instructions on how to get your eloquent little mitts onto an agent to work their magic for you. First, like I said prior, make sure that you have your things ready. Once you're content with your work and are sure that it's going to grab your future agent's attention by the esophagus, you should start by compiling a list of agents that you're interested in. Now, depending on if you're in the US or the UK, Jericho Writers decided to be extra cornucopia-y for all of us and gave us a link to a list of many, if not all, literary agents on the market in both the US and the UK. A link shall be provided if you're interested. Right, back on topic. Try finding a list of people you want to have become your agent. Write their names down for later, and narrow down your list as you figure out which one you ultimately would like to contact. How do you contact them? That's easy, I think. Write them a query letter, which usually is formatted as such: an introduction, a brief description of your story, and a little something about yourself. Your description or synopsis should contain 1 or 2 brief paragraphs. Make it short, like me. Then send that bad boy, not me, to the agent of your choice, but not before you enclose your sample chapters in there too. Now, all you have to do is wait an estimated 8 weeks. Some agents will not get back to you to reject your manuscript, very much like a job interview. I hate you, Staples. Just anticipate yes or no, or if you get a no, you might need to tweak your script, or try again with another agent to see if maybe the one you tried first was just being a stick in the mud. Invest in a writing editor if needed. According to Jericho Writers, traditional publishing with an agent is best for the following kinds of books and lifestyles. 1. Fiction or a standalone non-fiction book. 2. You don't have plans to publish a book too often. 3. You'd like to have people hold your book as much as they want to hold their Amazon Kindle. 4. You'd like to have a shot at a lot of publicity, getting interviews and rabid nerds to sign your eyeballs with a fine tip Sharpie. And 5. Are typically writing any sort of book within a genre or audience in mind that is very popular and has a lot of competition. If you have a more niche idea, consider publishing traditionally without an agent. Now, there are pros and cons, as all things are. Here's a nice reminder. The pros! 1. You get professionals found by your publisher to assemble your book for you. 2. Your agent guides you along the path to success better than your spouse could. 3. You are more likely to be a published author with this method and will probably have better chances to publish again, depending on the success your wad of words accumulates. The cons. 1. You sell your rights to the publisher, so it's their book, not yours. 2. You actually have a harder time making a living on this sort of thing compared to an indie author, who, according to Orna Ross on selfpublishingadvice.org, is basically a partner who self-publishes and retains their status as the rightful intellectual owner of their work. 3. You genuinely have to make sure your book is good. The publishers can be interested in it, yes, but it's actually hard to get physical copies into stores. And now a testimony. Now, there are obviously many publishing companies out there that we don't know of quite yet. They may want to publish niche books or go for the popular bangers out there. It's always good to look at the testimonials of authors who have worked with publishers to get their works out. So, for starters, I will be looking at Dorrance Publishing, a publishing company that allows you to publish whatever genre you wish, but specializes in books pertaining to spirituality, theology, Christianity, blah blah blah. There's also one about communism, picture book written by an aspiring child artist, and so on, I guess. For this video, I shall be using Irish Fisher Smith, who wrote her novel Never Alone. She provides a descriptive but concise summary of her experience with the company, and the mention of Senior Publishing Services Consultant gives me the impression that the company provided her with people to work with to help her accomplish her little dream of being a self-published author. Here's a lovely little excerpt from her testimony. Quote, "After I signed my contract, I found the staff at Dorrance extremely helpful, and they always got right back to me if I had any questions. When I had a concern about the COVID virus, I was assured by my project coordinator that things were on time and that there were no delays. She also was particularly good at communication and direction." End quote. I would have chosen Pig Latin is Not Dead by Krista Davis, but the description was too short and didn't provide much. She claimed to have been satisfied with the experience, and her community has shown her support for her efforts. And hey, let's throw this as a means to destroy the ageism debacle, because good old Iris here looks like she is well over the age of 50. You can do anything regardless of how many wrinkles you have on your list and how many years on your life. Now, back to the topic at hand. Now, before we get on to self-publication, which is our other point, here is a quick list of advice if you'd like to publish a more niche book and want to get started in that, with a publisher, of course. In this case, you don't need an agent/potential lover to guide you along the way. Just go straight to the niche publishers, depending on which one publishes your specialty. Funny thing is, as opposed to an agent's 8 weeks, you'll probably have to bide your time with 4 to 6 months, and pray that you'll get a yes from them on your birthday. Other than that, the only downside is that niche books are even harder to get onto shelves. I mean, I'm sure you've been into Barnes & Noble, right? The fiction section is massive, and they even have a separate shelf for sci-fi. Don't forget the kids' books, because I know you're not writing a book for them on how to get a six-pack. Alright, that's all. Time to go indie. Self-publishing, otherwise known as indie publishing, is where you put matters into your own hands and get your book out into the world without completely selling your intellectual property to some company whose influence is as massive as the rate at which ice caps are melting. It's big. As Orna Ross describes it, quote, "If you see yourself as the creative director of your books, from concept to completion and beyond, then you're indie. You don't approach publishers with a longing for validation. Publish me, please, 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 I beg you, please." Ross 6, end quote. Angelica Hartgers on selfpublishing.com defines indie authors as, quote, "An author that publishes a book on their own typically has complete creative control, higher book royalty rates, and full autonomy over the publishing process. To self-publish, an author will publish a book at their own expense using a self-publishing platform, such as Amazon's KDP, and typically maintains full rights to their book." Hartger 10, end quote. So yeah, you are the creative master. You are basically like a parent to this child of a book, and making sure that you see to its design, editing, marketing, and so on. You get more control, more revenue, the rights are yours. Possessive of your girlfriend? Dump her, you sicko, because you are clearly not ready for a relationship and should invest your time in maybe trying to control things you can't control in the first place, like how you can publish a book idea. Here's how to do it! Step 1. Write the thing. What are you gonna do? Publish air? Step 2. Edit your book or hire someone to do it. Step 3. Finalize that baby. Step 4. Start putting the pieces together. Use necromancy or something to get your book cover design. Or hire someone. Step 5. This is a bit lengthier. You'll want to seek out your self-publishing company, which will give you the tools you need to duplicate and distribute your book. There are also resources you can use that'll help you get more in depth with the specifics of using these self-publishing companies. I shall link you to the lovely little website, selfpublishing.com. I recommend that you scroll down to the section, "What are self-publishing companies?" Please consider what you're going to vomit into the world, where you'd like that vomit to land, how much you plan on paying for that vomit, and so on. In regards to that website, it goes on to describe aggregators and retailers as your two platforms of self-publication. Aggregators are folks who are good at distributing your book to both retails and libraries. Downside is it costs more. Retail in of itself is very popular, and you just simply hand your book to them and they'll host it for you, which means they'll put it up for sale on their domain. Step 6. You are responsible for managing your marketing. If you want to see that baby flourish, pay attention to it. Make sure it gets where you need it to be. Now, the pros to this mean that you are in control of your masterpiece and retain your rights to have custody over it over Karen, who was so eager to take it 100%. Downside, you have to pay for the services yourself, since you don't want publishing companies to have rights over your work and therefore provide their services to you. You'll have to pay for services which are listed and priced as following on selfpublishing.org. Also, you're responsible for other things beyond budget. There are deadlines you have to meet, there's a marketing thing again, and a bunch of other googly-gack. But beyond that, that's usually how you're able to publish a book on your own. If you'd like, selfpublishingadvice.org provides a list of some of these companies you can go to in order to get your book all set up for self-publication. Link in the video! There is simply more to publishing than throwing your work out there to a couple of companies. So, here are a list of more methods. 1. Try crowdfunding and make sure to raise money for a book that the people will want to read. 2. Send a proposal instead of writing out a full book and see if people go crazy for it. 3. Micro publishing companies exist for your super niches. And here are a list of things to avoid according to Jericho Writers. 1. Vanity publishers, who will supposedly steal your money. 2. Simple print and design companies that will not aid in distribution or making as many copies as you'd like, unfortunately. In short, publishing methods have become as varied as the people who work on the books you may or may not come to know and love. It's a lengthy and complicated process, but you can make a choice on what to sacrifice in order to reach the same goal of publication. You can make a decision to go about it with a professional and let the bigwigs handle it, or you can weather the storm and take a risk, making sure that you see to it that your book is everything you want it to be. Now, all you need to do is figure out what you'd like to write about and apply what you think is the best method for you to become the world's next best-selling author. Stutter, yay! Personally, for me, I have no plans to get myself published as an author. I personally feel like the things I would like to publish are disproportionate to my experience with the things I have in mind. Oh well. For you, though, I hope this was substantial and not too suffocating. Thank you so much for watching my little video. Good luck and goodbye!